And we are live. The numbers are rolling. Thank you, one and all, for everybody coming in for this Cinco de Mayo edition of A Girl, a Guy, and a Movie. With us today is our two guests, the Crafting Gamer, who has nominated this movie for discussion and review, and our friend Six Nation 31 Kings. And welcome, gentlemen. How are you two today?
Doing super.
Awesome.
Thanks for asking.
Crafting Gamers answering the notification. Janet, how are you today, little farm girl?
I'm good.
Fantastic.
Ready to rock-a-doodle?
Yeah.
I'm back and I'm feeling a lot better than yesterday. That is for sure.
Good.
That's good.
And that is awesome.
Before we begin today's discussion of Rock-a-Doodle, I got to get this out of the way because it's gonna fucking eat at me. We had a noted, one of our favorite actors from one of our favorite movies has passed. Bernard Harrell, King Theoden. He was also, I believe, the captain in the movie Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
He was also in The Bounty,
And he was
1984.
Yep.
Mm.
He was in the stuff of back the black stuff, or the boys of black stuff. And he was like one of the up and coming guys in the UK in the 80s that he was a voice of the working class for the time.
Shit and dude.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah.
And this one hurts worse, really bad, worse than Wise, the guy that played the Punisher in Punisher Warzone. Ray Wise.
Yeah.
That was
Stevenson.
sad. But today I pop open this. It's a crappy little bottle of bourbon. It's Dickel Bourbon, 8 years. But I'm going to toast to the man that gave us so many good hours of watching part of the best trilogy that's probably going to grace the screen since I've been alive till my death, and appreciate all the work he did.
Yeah.
He starred in 2 films that won 11 Oscars.
He was a great actor.
It sounds like he was a really, really benevolent man. Here's
What are you
something.
looking forward to after Comic-Con? What?
Night's sleep. It was pretty brutal coming in on that tiny aeroplane. It didn't bother me. I liked it, but it left you a bit weary at the end of it.
Any final words for your fans here in Aberdeen?
Keep going.
And thus we will, Bernard. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh,
Any
it's
fellow
sad.
painters out there? Quick one.
Say again?
Yeah, it is sad. I was saying, quick warning to anybody who is painting out there and you happen to find alcohol inks anywhere or you want to buy some. They are messy. Now you can't see it very well, but they are very messy compared to most other even ink mediums because they are extremely thin. They go everywhere. Like they actually have a higher capillary reaction than water.
Now, currently it says I'm having a hard time streaming to YouTube. Not certain about that, but
I see you fine.
okay.
There's been some shenanigans with certain entities on certain media platforms.
Yeah. A lot of us have had problems.
Okay. There we go. I've got about 30-second delay. So sorry about that, YouTube. Hopefully things look like they're balancing out now.
Can I get the elephant out of the room?
Go ahead.
This movie had the biggest cock I've ever seen.
I can't believe you said that, but it did. He was pretty big. He was the king.
He was the king. He was a big muscular cock.
Yeah, he was
Underneath all
huge.
those feathers, he was veiny.
And it was dark brown.
Big brown cock.
Yeah.
Janet, what'd you think?
Any sort of monetization that could possibly be made on this stream now is forever gone.
Well, this
I
movie,
started to hear what you said, but what did you say?
Oh, we're reviewing a children's animation with the opening of the biggest cock that I've ever seen, and that's going to ruin any sort of monetization on this. It's probably tripping off alarms and whistles.
But
we're going to have the thought police after us.
I had never seen it or heard of it, which I was really surprised since when we found out once it started, I had these extreme deja vu of watching The Secret of NIMH and how much I loved it. It was almost like I was going to start watching The Secret of NIMH. So that's when I realized it was the same people that made that movie.
Same animation house.
Yeah, the same people, because so many things in this movie brought Secret of NIMH into my mind again. So it makes me want to watch The Secret of NIMH. I can't help it, but I love that movie. It was so good. And even though I've never seen this before and I'm a grown up, I thought some of the scenes were very scary.
This is a Don Bluth movie, and if you ever saw a Don Bluth movie or any work he did, his work was never really a kid's movie.
Mm-hmm.
No, Black Cauldron, Secret of NIMH.
Secret of NIMH.
An American Tale and Land Before Time were, but
did he make The Last Unicorn too?
No, that was Rankin Bass.
Yeah, Rankin Bass did that.
That was a good one.
What did you say, Cracking Gamer? I'm sorry, sir.
I would say I labeled this as a kids movie when I first described it, like heavy kids movie, because I grew up with this kind of stuff as being a kids movie. I mean, of course, it didn't help. At 6 years old, I seen Alien and didn't get nightmares. So
the chat's never heard of
my view of what is a child's movie might be a little skewed because of that.
So I don't feel so bad anymore.
It's probably because it's technically an independent studio, so it wouldn't get the same coverage as would Disney, Pixar, that sort of thing.
Was it independent?
And this was also early, technically. Like, it wasn't a major studio.
Oh, yeah.
But it worked with major studios, either on the side with animation or with the kid movies that came out in the early 80s up until the 90s.
I was really impressed with this movie. I just watched it, heard about it for the first time in the last couple weeks. Didn't even watch a trailer for it. Janet gets dressed up for it, so I'm like kind of bamboozled, like which cowgirl, country girl, farmer's daughter.
Well, the thing is, when he told me about the movie and that it was going to be a cartoon, I was like, well, I want to dress up in theme at least, but I hadn't seen the movie, so I didn't know, what to wear. So I just thought, well, I'll just wear my overalls. And I made my a promo earlier. If you want to show it, you can. But I made a promo, and I had one of my real chickens, one of my little Bantams with me. I tried to do it with a rooster, since the movie is basically based on a rooster not crowing and causing it to rain and rain. My rooster would not be good. I mean, he was just making all kinds of racket, even though he wasn't wiggling around, but he was hollering at me and stuff. So I just put her back in there and got the little girl out and held her because she was nice and good and so sweet. So that was one of my real chickens that I have, and she makes little tiny eggs about that big. But she's a doll, and I just love them. And I'm teaching them how to walk on a leash. So once I get that down, I'll make some videos with them walking around on a leash.
But, I was really impressed. You had a cute little trailer, with your little trailer, your little chicken. She was cute. I had no idea you having a problem with your big brown. Anyway, I thought it was a very interesting little trailer. I'm like, okay, this is the most to know about the film, whatever. And I uploaded it to YouTube under your discretion. And then we start the movie, and I'm watching it. I'm not really paying attention to it for the first 30 seconds. And then I realized, like, this is Don Bluth. I've got to watch this. And
it's that animation style.
The animation style just absolutely pulled me in. Like I was watching another rerun, another rewatching of Secret of NIMH, and I just could not get away. It was so good. And
It's like Secret and M without the nightmares.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That Duke, the Duke was scary as hell because he's like the one-eyed owl from Secret and M.
Well,
That's where, if you've seen Secret and M, you'll see that, and you go, oh yeah, there's the correlation there.
But the scene where the little boy's in bed, right, and then all of a sudden the window busts out and there's this giant looking claw, but it's not a claw; it's like the branch, from the tree, and it sets down. And he's sitting there and looking at the little boy, and the way he talked to the little boy, and the little boy's like when he didn't understand what was going on. So at that moment, I didn't know, was he dreaming or what's going on, because I hadn't seen this. And then all of a sudden he blows the air out that's all magical looking, and the little boy transforms into a kitten. And then I felt really bad for him because at least as a boy, I felt like he was big enough to maybe defend himself from this mean owl. But as a tiny kitten, when he said he was going to eat him, that was pretty scary to me. I thought that was pretty scary. And the way that the eyes and stuff from the owl was very, dramatic for me. I just thought that was a very scary scene. And then when the owl leaves, because he used the flashlight on him, on the owl, it makes him leave because it hurts his eyes. Then when the other characters start coming in, and he all of a sudden you see him in that outfit he put on because he realized he was nude. I thought that was adorable. And the little boy's voice was just so cute. But when he went and tried to eat the little mouse because he was a cat now, I just thought that was cute. So all the detail that they put in for the characters and stuff, I just thought was great. I thought it was really cute. I liked it.
If this came out like 6 years earlier, I think I would have been terrified as a kid, but this was like when I was 14, so I was very much hardened up to weird stuff.
I think the most frightening cartoon I ever watched was The Black Cauldron. And that basically killed all of the animation that Disney ever wanted to do after that.
Yeah.
They were done.
Which kind of sucks. Because that was good stuff.
Yeah, that's one of my faves. And I hate to say that, but I hate to say that for the fact that that is such an unloved movie. That is almost Song of the South level of hatred from Disney to that product. And I didn't think that they could hate a movie so much like Song of the South. They fucking disallowed, disbarred, forgot about it. That's like that's the Bosley, what is it? The Chuck Cunningham character of the Disney franchise right there.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Bosley.
Not Tom Bosley. Chuck, the older brother for
yeah.
After season 1, we never saw him again until Death Wish 3. Actually, saw him before that, but he didn't really make a big impression for me until Death Wish 3.
That's another movie.
Well, the opening scene before the owl comes in, before the little boy fell asleep, when the mom is reading a story to him about the rooster when he didn't crow, that it started raining and the sun wouldn't come back up, even though Chanticleer, the rooster, that's the name of the rooster, left because he was heartbroken that his friends and stuff were making fun of him because the sun came up and he hadn't crowed yet. So he realized that because he crows is the reason why the sun comes up. So I thought that whole concept was pretty interesting. And then it starts to rain. And it rains and rains and rains, and it's flooding everything. And the dad is hollering to the other boys, his 2 older boys, to help, and the mother to help get the cow that's stuck in the mud and all this stuff. And the little boy's watching through the window. And that a little bit after that is when the giant claw comes into the window. So it was very dramatic leading up to that scene. So that's why I was like, he must be dreaming. So once, for this part of it, because you never know. It's a movie. It's supposed to be you don't know if it's fantasy or what's going to happen. But the whole scene when it started raining, it was so gloomy and sad, and all you see is the mom in the truck, and she opens the door, and you see this rush of water coming toward her. So you don't know whether it's flooding out there and stuff, or whether any of them even get back in the house. and the little boy's fantasy starts. Okay. So I just thought, oh, that was just very dramatic. And I don't know if I was to tell someone else to watch it, I would tell them to, I don't know, maybe you should watch this movie and judge whether or not how old your child should be when they watch it. Because to me, it's still a couple really scary parts in it, even though I'm a grown woman. But that was scary. So, but
If you're not a Gen Xer,
today, so that I could represent all the
word of
race.
caution.
So I guess I could trade my hat, take it off, and
If you're a parent and you're not a Gen Xer, definitely review it before seeing or letting your kids sit in front of it.
Yeah.
As a Gen Xer whose parents didn't give a crap,
They were
it
just
was
like,
sink or swim.
they just said, "Get out."
That's why we had the couch to hide behind and the lights to turn on for 2 weeks straight, and later on the drugs and alcohol that followed to cope with
later
having
on,
to harden the fuck up.
I guess we right. So, but the thing is, it was really the opening pulled you in because you sympathize with the family and everything what's going on. And when the woman talked to her little boy, I was like, a spark went off in the back of my head. I was like, that's the mom from E.T. That's what I was thinking. And then, but her face didn't match. So I was like, why would they have her voice and not have her in the movie? But so I thought maybe, wow, she just sounds a lot like her. And then at the very end, when you see the mom talking to her son again, I could tell a little bit that it wasn't quite synced up, that it was a voiceover by Dee Wallace portraying the mother's voice for the movie. So I just thought that was really cool that I remembered her voice, but that's who it was. So it was good. It was good. But anybody want to, interject before we go to the next part of the movie?
Go ahead. Talk organically, guys. This is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
This was a good, wholesome movie, and it was refreshing to see it.
Yeah, I got all giddy when I heard the music starting, and then I saw those little swirling letters and the clouds and the starry sky and stuff. I got all giddy because it instantly reminded me of how I felt when I watched Secret of NIMH. It takes you back to a time in your life where you didn't have any problems when you were young and you didn't have bills to pay and all those things, but you wanted them to be successful in their quest to help her move her home, right? Before the plows were going to come through the field type of thing. So it brought me back to that. So when I started watching it and the scary owl came in and stuff, and then he was able to leave, and then the dog came in that couldn't tie his shoes, as a comic relief type thing. I just thought it was cute. And then you got to meet the little boy as a kitten because he was transformed by the evil owl. And now they're trying to figure out how they can get to the city to find the rooster to bring him back so that he can crow and bring the sun back, because it wouldn't stop raining. And everybody was getting washed away, basically. And then they used an old trunk from the room to ride in as a boat. And then the magpie came in, and he was like belittling the mouse girl because she had a lisp and she was a girl, that type of thing. I thought it was adorable. The whole back and forth conversation between the magpie and the little mouse, I thought was great. Because that's how we used to be able to talk to each other. You know what I mean? A man and a woman could talk to each other like that and bring out little subtleties and nitpick at each other a little, but it was acceptable. Today, if anyone said some of the things the magpie said to that girl, they would be crucified in the street, basically, So it was nice to see be pulled back a little bit in time when every little thing you said wasn't nitpicked to death, where you could just say your feelings to your friends and no one would think twice about it. Do you guys feel that way too?
I feel like that all the time, but I also don't really care what other people think of me. I mean, I work in sanitation. You can't hurt me.
But can't make a bigger stink, right?
No.
That was a joke. But but that whole thing I thought was really good. The back and forth between the different characters. And I couldn't recognize a lot of the voices of the smaller characters, the ones that stayed in the bedroom while he was gone, or when the owl came back with the flashlight. I wanted to recognize it, but I did, for some reason, I just could not put together these voices.
We had Sorrel Brooke and Sandy Duncan in this movie. And
Sandy Duncan, what was she in? She's her
She
name.
was in Scooby Doo and the Peter Pan play, and
she was on Valerie's house, or Valerie Harper's house, with Jason Bateman after.
Yes, see, I never watched that show. Never
Say
watched
again?
it. I didn't ever watch that show. I didn't really like that actress that much. So I just.
And contrary to the popular opinion that she had a glass eye, no, she had a weak nerve in her real eye, and it didn't dilate proper. So they took her to a surgeon, and unfortunately the surgeon botched the job, and she lost sight in that eye. So no glass eye, real eye. She's still kicking too. I think she's like 78, 79 years old.
She's still at it.
The same actress?
Yeah.
Sandy Duncan. Yeah.
Because her name sounded familiar when I finally looked it up, on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever. And I was like, why can't I picture who she is? So I'm gonna have to go and look at her.
Wasn't she on a bunch of PBS stuff in the late 70s, early 80s? Because
I want to say
I've seen her on Sesame Street or Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood or something like that, and she was really aimed at kids. I don't know why, but she always seemed
still had the pixie cut then.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think she ever got out of the pixie cut. She still looks like she's got the pixie cut nowadays.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about now. When you said the hairstyle, yeah, I think she was real popular back when my mom was like watching television all the time. But I just can't put my finger on exactly what she looks like. So that sucks. I hate it when it happens.
Back when television went off the air.
As soon as I heard their voice, I saw their face. You know what I mean? I was able to put their face with the character. The guy that did the dog, I couldn't remember him, but I remembered his voice.
That's Phil Harris. And
did he do a lot of voiceovers for documentaries and stuff?
He might have. I know he passed on not long after this movie was made.
Yeah,
like
that was one of the
later.
things that I found. Let's see. Let me get this thing out. It says that it's on the notes over here. Okay.
What was the name of the actress that played the pheasant? Goldie? Ellie something?
That's Ellen Green. She was in the movie
Ellen Green.
Professional, and she was also the main actress for Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
Really?
And she did cabaret.
Mm-hmm.
That's why.
She was a singer, cabaretist.
Yeah, she's a singer. Yeah, because she had that baby voice. She did that baby talk, She had that, really annoying. Yeah, she's annoying.
Hey, lady.
Nasally, too.
Hey, lady.
She has that nasally baby talking. I don't know what to say. I'm just having a hard time understanding like that. So
Talking like that, you're gonna get more. You're gonna get more marriage proposals in your inbox, babe.
She's like, no, don't hurt me. Oh, I'm so sad right now.
I'm just so glad Janet doesn't have a New York accent.
It reminds me of that other movie. Remember, it was in Victoria, where she's like, Pookie, I'm horny. That she won an Academy Award for that.
Yes.
So I guess men like that ditzy talk.
We do. We like that stupid shit. Okay.
I don't know why.
Some men do.
Ellen Green paid houses and cars with that stupid voice and those wonderful breaths.
50-50. Like it depends on the mood. Like if it's constantly every day, like yeah, I'm gonna go out
all the time. So
I'll be back.
I don't know
later.
if I get being around her all the time. She's very. I would get like, I can't take this. I'm gonna scratch my eyes out or my ears off if I had to hear that all the time. But yeah, I was very surprised when the singer started for the rooster started singing, and I was like, I knew in the back of my mind that it was supposed to be Glen Campbell, but I was like, who is this singing? This is not Glen Campbell's voice. I only remember one song by him, and it was Rhinestone Cowboy, and that was not him. So I was like,
it's kind of like Glenn Yarborough with the Bilbo or Frodo of the Nine Fingers.
Yeah. But I thought he did really good at portraying this cocky rooster at the point. And then when he gets his, the wind knocked out of him, when the sun doesn't come up, or the sun does come up and he didn't crow, and he realizes that he has no control over the sun, that it was all his ego, his
a life-shattering moment.
Yeah, so he decides to leave and go to the city and see what can happen there. So that's why when they all float out the window because the house is underwater, they in the trunk, they go to try to find him, and then they go to the big city and they're like, how in the heck are we supposed to find him? It's huge. And then they end up at a what would you call that? A bar?
It was a nightclub of some sort.
Yeah, it was a nightclub or something. And it was funny because they even fashioned his manager to be like the manager of Elvis, overbearing, putting him in movies he didn't want to be in, all these little things like that, which was funny, because my mom used to talk
little jabs at Hollywood.
Yeah, it was a lot of
that's common for Don Bluth stuff too, by the way.
Yeah. Well,
Don Bluth never took an opportunity to not jab at Hollywood because he's trying to do his own thing and he's sick of the machine.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys noticed that or not, but
they weren't afraid to call anything out.
No. And more Hollywood features, more mainstream features should be unafraid, just the same way that Don Bluth was, because he made some really good films, and you'll never see a remake. You might see this movie made again, but we'll never see a retelling of Secret of NIMH.
Yeah, but
that movie would break the fucking
never
Hollywood.
going to see this style of cartoon movie. You're just not going to see it. Animation. It just it's nostalgic. It would be nice to see them try to come back and use the same concepts that they used to use on this, because to me, I just loved it. Because to me, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm old now, but it just brings me back to my childhood every time I see that type of animation, in a cartoon or a movie. You know what I mean? I just love it. I just thought it was great. I mean, it pulled me right in at the very beginning. I was like, oh, Secret of NIMH. Oh, that's the first thing that pops in my head. I know I keep saying it, but it just was nice. It was refreshing. It was a nice, refreshing break from all the freaking crap we're going through right now with our government to get to actually go somewhere and be entertained. For how long was this movie? Like an hour and a half? It didn't seem like it was very long.
Not even an hour and a half. It was like an hour 20, hour 14.
Yeah, it was very short, but it was really good. It was so jam-packed full of good music and animation. I just enjoyed it a lot. It was immensely enjoyable. It made me happy inside, even though it was kind of scary. Like I said, some of the scenes, and it felt for the boy, the traumatic effect it was going to have on him over the whole thing. But, everything worked out really good. And I got really scared for all of them when they were locked in the trunk and the magpie freaked out and started doing the Woody Woodpecker on the sides. And then water started seeping in. I was like, oh, my goodness, they're all going to drown or they're going to lose somebody. And then I was like, because, in Secret of NIMH, people didn't live. Some people died in it. And that was sad. I remember, boy, I was heartbroken over that old dog for a long time. Same thing with Lady and the Tramp, though, when we thought the dog died in the end, when the carriage tipped over and landed on top of him. Remember?
Yes.
So different things like that were very traumatic, when you watch those as a kid, because, most kids' first time that they find out about death really is when mom and dad got them a goldfish or a hamster or something like that.
I had a dog.
Yeah, when grandma passes, it's sad, but most kids don't have that one-on-one every day like they do with their parent. So it's not as traumatic for that, but that's usually our most our very first experience, because we usually go to the services of our grandparents if we're old enough to, get around it and stuff like that. So to me, that those a few things like that were very scary. So I thought maybe someone could die or drown because of that, because people did die in Secret of NIMH. So I don't know. Maybe that's one reason why it was a little more dramatic for me than it normally would be for another adult who'd never seen any of these things or had that same experience. But I just thought it was really, really good. And then the parts when they're in the city, and the way they handled different things with the one thing I thought was really far-fetched and funny was the fact that the owl knew exactly who to call and what his number was and everything to tell him, hey, don't let that cat and that mouse and stuff talk to your singer because he'll leave or whatever. So, and the cuteness of how adorable it was that he had a house up on the very top of that pole, the light with a billboard or something.
Mhm.
And he had a little trailer up there and an old car, from the 1950s, it looked like. And he had this cute little trailer up there, and it was fixed up real country. I just thought that was really cute. Just little aspects like that.
It's supposed to be set in 59.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yes, ma'am.
I couldn't really tell. I just knew that it was, who the rooster reminded me at first, if he hadn't spoken, the way he walked and the way he handled himself was that Andrew Dice Clay character. That's who he reminded me of, his mannerisms and stuff in the cartoon.
The Adventures of Ford Fairlane.
Animated Adventures of Ford Fairlane would be awesome. I would buy that.
Is there one?
No, but Ford Fairlane is a great 80s comedy because he does so much shit to make fun of John Travolta. They're all falling out of the building and the guy is screaming, ah, and the girl is
that's another one down there on the chat. Johnny Bravo, because I collected some of the stuff on that on my Quid. Remember I told you I'm in a card thing where you swap cards or digital. I have a lot of Johnny Bravo.
Oh.
So yeah.
Oh, that was a bad
Johnny
impersonation.
On Andrew Dice Clay, I wonder, or was it
No,
Elvis?
Cartoon Network. It was a staple of Cartoon Network.
I know, but who was he based on? Do you think he was based on any of those people? Influenced?
Oh, probably a little bit of Elvis.
Yeah, this is a homage to Elvis. I think. I think really this movie is like a thank you Elvis film, and that's just how I view it.
Yeah, I do too, definitely, because of the singing alone, the way he sings, and the fact that you look way, way up in the sky and it says the king, Yeah, that's what everybody called Elvis. So yeah, I can see and it came out in 91.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's just 13 or 14 years after Elvis had died,
mm-hmm.
and so people are starting to realize the hole that's left in, pop music, and we don't have a showman in 91 like that. As much as I want to say that Motley Crue or Led Zeppelin or the Doors measured up to what Elvis did on stage, they really didn't. Elvis was just his own phenom. He really was. He was a tier eclipsing the known possible celebrity to be.
I have never been to a concert, and I like a lot of singers, men and women singers and bands, and I've never been to a concert where I would cry, like one song, Black Velvet, okay,
Mm-hmm.
saying he leaves him crying in the aisle. Well, I remember my mom saying that the Beatles did the same thing, that women would just faint and cry to get to see him. I've never listened to a band or saw a singer where I thought that I would feel that way if I saw him. Have you guys?
Elvis was a big part in my mom's family.
I'm not
my
saying
mom's side was all country.
Anything. I'm not trying to say that. I'm saying, would you feel like, oh my God, this is the best moment ever to get to meet?
I don't know. His rendition of Suspicious Lies, that resonates with me. My grandparents were all into his gospel, so during Christmas we'd be playing his gospel CDs. Mm-hmm. But if I was around,
why is that? I was going to agree with him, and you laughed at it. I always think they're a great band.
No, they're okay for like
Nickelback.
2 a.m.
Are they the ones that sing the song Photograph?
When you're drinking at 2 a.m. and you're trying to drive through Taco Bell, maybe Nickelback is where you're at in life. But I don't have a disrespectful shit in my ass that could compare to what they do to music. Okay.
I think they're
not
good.
sorry about that. I
like some of their music.
I bought their first album because it was sent to me by Columbia fucking House Music, okay? And that's because Bruce was an idiot. I had 13 CDs for a penny, and all I did was buy one with nothing to buy more ever. And what I do, I kept it for 4 years.
Nickelback's the Bud Light of music. That's mean.
It is. It's a Bud
Hey,
Light.
my friends bought me Britney Spears' first album, like when she went popular as a young adult, and it was a gag gift. So every time my girlfriend was over, I'd crank up the music and we'd get it on, and it would annoy the hell out of my housemates. That's how you get revenge on that sort of thing.
Well,
Split the gag.
To get revenge, if someone was mean to me like that, I would just walk in with a blow-up doll for whoever it was and give it to them, but have it filled with helium and see what happens when they let go of it. How they react. I think
I was going to jump in with a couple of the character actors. What we got? Charles Riley.
Mm-hmm.
He played the nephew.
Mm-hmm.
He was on some old-timey shows. Some of you might remember Arnie, Hello Dolly, Ghost of Mrs. Muir, Match Game, that sort of thing. And then there was Will Ryan. He was the voice of Petrie from The Land Before Time. And he was also the voice of Grubby, that little yellow worm dude that hung out with Teddy Ruxpin from The Adventures of Teddy Ruxpin.
I had a Teddy Ruxpin. That terrible. I had almost all the little things. I just adored it. I thought it was adorable.
I was so crushed when I tried to play my Metallica tapes in Teddy Ruxpin, and they weren't syncing. Specific tapes had to be used to get the lip sync. Otherwise, it was just like a little cassette recorder or cassette player.
But I wanted to tell you guys this part that I found. This was one of the trivia things I found about it. It says the film originally included more darker elements. So I was really surprised when I read it. A famous one being a deleted sequence from the kitchen scene. In this sequence, the Duke bakes a live baby skunk in a pie and then eats it. Oddly enough, according to Gary Goldman, the reason this was cut wasn't because of the content, but because Blue Studio received a complaint from Goldcrest marketing representative that most cases of child abuse happen in the kitchen and involve baking instruments. Oh my God, you got to be kidding.
That made me laugh.
No, this is early 90s. Got to remember, early 80s.
Pie is not considered bad. It's just, that's
no.
That's just
Look at the trash from the early 80s that they fed kids, and they're like, oh, wait, we have to put educational stuff in. So then what they do, they put in like a 5-minute snippet of some educational fact at the end of some ultra-violent cartoon or whatever. And then towards the end of the 80s, like we had Captain Power, that was awesome. But soccer moms freaked out over the violence.
Yeah.
And so then into the 90s, they're like, well, maybe we shouldn't have so much violence because that could lead to stuff.
I wish
and then you got all these psychologists and experts throwing in their 2 cents. And now we have safe spaces. You can believe that?
Does Flady have a channel?
No, not yet. He needs one.
Well, you need to do that, Flady. You need to go and find you a Teddy Ruxpin and do that as your opening video for your channel. It'll be a hit. But the other thing I wanted to tell you guys about, because I was talking about Glen Campbell, I said Glen Campbell was a really good friends with Elvis Presley and would sometimes do Elvis impersonations in his concerts. He stopped doing this once Elvis died. And for this film, he once again bases his singing voice on Elvis. Oh, I think that's sweet. Even though you can
Papa
laugh.
Cotton.
I know.
Just the thought of and mimicking the trying to lip sync to Cannibal Corpse, I'd be okay with it. This passes mustard.
Well, do you have it? Does he have an elf puppet?
No, I don't think he has it right now. I think it's going to spawn a series of searches on eBay and Amazon.
But Papa Cotton and Flatey need to get together and team up to do some videos like that. I think it'd be really entertaining. I'll sign up.
Sort of Poopus. How you doing, sir? Hello, sir.
Hi. Thank you for joining us.
Miss you, my friend.
And then there was this other one, another thing I found. It says the final scenes blending live action with animation was inspired by the popularity of it in Who Framed Roger Rabbit in 1988. Wow, was that long ago? Gosh.
Man, don't say that. Don't say that.
Wow. It's in its similarity. Goldie the pheasant's sultry appearance was slightly based off that of Jessica Rabbit. Mm-hmm. As shown in one of the early trailers found on the original 1990 Rabbit. And then it says VHS release of All Dogs Go to Heaven in 1989. Goldie was the originally given a large cleavage identical to that of Jessica Rabbit. However, after mothers at the test screenings were scandalized by her outrageous proportions, Bluth's animators
Soccer moms.
By Goldcrest Films, who censor Goldie's cleavage. Oh, well, that's good.
We could have had animated pheasant boobies.
Yeah, but I think she was
beautiful. But no.
Except her voice. The voice did get
denied.
Have a lot of lines because that gets on my nerves. So Pookie, I hate that shit. So disgusting. But I know a lot of girls that do that. And it says Pinky the fox, the sinister and greedy manager of Chanticleer, is based on the late Elvis Presley's band manager, Colonel Tom Parker. I knew that for sure. Yeah, and it does say that Phil. This was his last role for Phil Harris that he ever did.
He passed in '95. A few years later.
Yeah, it says the Duke's.
I think it was heart attack related or something.
Yeah, pulmonary, I believe.
Well, he smoked like
he was 91. Let's give the man a break.
Yeah, he was smoking cigars all the time too, wasn't he? He always had a drink. Smoking.
Yeah. So. I believe he was a smoker. I believe he smoked.
Who wasn't a smoker? It wasn't until 2005 that it became trendy not to smoke.
Sandy fucking Duncan was not a smoker.
Yeah.
Well, there's exceptions, granted.
It says go ahead.
Go ahead.
But if you were like my age and watching movies from the 30s, 40s, 50s on, everybody smoked. Everybody smoked everywhere.
Yeah.
He smoked on planes. I mean, I remember I was riding a plane not very long ago, I guess maybe 10, 11 years ago, and it had ashtrays in it still, in the little handles on the plane. It was an old plane, I guess, but it had ashtrays in it still. But maybe
they still flew better than the current Boeing stuff.
I bet they did too. But I wonder if they still use a lot of those planes in other countries. Are you allowed to fly and smoke in some of those other planes?
Probably not anymore.
See, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. But it says the Duke's breath power, emitting glowing geometrical and space-themed shapes, was to avoid it from being a single glowing color, which children may have found too frightening. See, I thought it was pretty frightening with all the stuff in it, too. That was very scary.
When I realized that the Duke had been given powers like that, I'm like, this is really going to scar kids. And I hope to God we put this on more cable. Because no offense, your kids are special. They need scars. Your kids need to fucking experience death. Your kids need to have, like, their favorite puppy die. I'm sorry. When I was
No.
4 years old,
Yeah.
my mom told me, what did you see today? Well, I was outside. I only saw 7 puppies. What happened? My mom was like, well, one of the grain trucks ran over the 8th. And so the next day I got to go outside and bury the dead puppy, which, like, when you're 4 years old, boy, that's a fucking endeavor.
Well, the thing is, it's a fact, though. You know, we shield children too much today. I really think so. I think that's why children are so gullible and easily controlled by other people's, because we don't let them experience anything. We don't let them dig in the dirt anymore because it's too many germs. You know, we don't let them play outside. We can't. Oh, don't drink out of the hose. That might kill you. You know, I drank out of the hose like gallons of water a day when I was a kid. So I don't know. But,
after watching the movie with your children, then you go down the Eldritch Horror iceberg with how did the Duke get his powers? And then you find out that he's like a warlock or something. And yeah.
Well, a lot of people, like my grandmother would always tell me why she would never let a cat in the house. And I asked her that one time. And she said, because cats are the doorway between heaven and hell. So she believed in that shit. So, you know, that's what I'm saying. It just depends on your upbringing.
I'm not going to discount what she had to deal with.
So, you know.
Classic example would be Constantine, where he uses the cat as a catalyst.
When I was a kid, before Constantine ever came out, you know.
Oh, yeah. It's based off of folklore.
Because we had found a kitten, Sandy and I found a kitten that was in the middle of like this little patch of like little cactuses, and it was all spiky. And I mean, it hurt when we got poked trying to get that baby kitten out of there. And we don't know how it got in. We think someone threw it. One of the kids down the road threw a kitten in there, and it was just sitting there stuck, you know, with all the pins on it and stuff. So we reached in there, got all scratched up, it was itchy.
Thanks, Nordipus. I'll inform you when I find some kids.
Well, we took it. So my grandma told us that because we asked her how come we couldn't bring the kitten in the house, you know, because it was all cut up, and we were trying to. And she told me that she wouldn't do it, wouldn't let it in because it was a doorway. We're like, what the heck does that mean? We didn't understand. But I just found another thing. It says the movie takes place in 1959, as confirmed by the newspapers shown after Goldie and the King's song. So it was placed. Supposedly.
That would explain the clothing that they were wearing.
Yeah.
Live action.
Yeah. So that was definitely part of it.
So anyway, I'm just showing off. This is the brew house where they make this wonderful beer that I'm drinking right now. I stopped the bourbon after the 2 shots I had in that Boston glass. No, I don't need to do more of that. That'll cause me to have a 6-hour stream and lose sleep. So we're doing this original Hell. This is the world's oldest brew house in service since 1040. Yeah, 1040. Holy shit. And this is over in Bavaria, not too far from Munich. And
wasn't it run by priests back when it first opened?
It was ran by priests. It was a monastery brew house for Benedictine monks.
Yeah, I just remember.
And so
friars like to get their brew on.
You have no idea how much they love that brew. And this is one of the best brews out there. If you have this available at your local liquor store, I recommend this. This is a fantastic alternative to getting cheap beer for high amounts of alcohol. This is a great beer at a premium price. It's like $13 for a 6-pack. But I'll stop sharing now. Go ahead. Sorry, guys.
Oh, you guys will find this hilarious. Okay, my dad. I lived next door to my parents, so I was seeing him last night. He drank, mind you, he has not drank like this in over 2 decades. He drank 3/4 of a fifth of 100 proof rum in 8 hours.
Wow.
Was he dancing around like a bloody pirate?
No, he couldn't stand up. Where the funny part comes in, he had absolutely no fucking hangover this morning. He was just fine.
Well, some people's bodies can handle that kind of stuff. I mean, if I drink wine, I don't have a problem at all. It's when I do like shots or something like that, and then I'm like, it takes me days to recoup. So
I'm a happy drunk while it's happening, But if I drink excessively, the next morning I'm going to feel like hammered shit. I'll be semi-functional at best.
Yeah, it's something you don't want to see, right?
It's not as bad as that. Like I won't end up like butt naked in the bushes of my neighbors or something like that. But yeah, it takes its toll.
Yeah, when it comes to alcohol, I'm one of those people that I can. Well, what I should say is I've one of those paradoxical tolerances to alcohol. I don't get drunk that easily, but I still get the physical effects of alcohol poisoning just as quickly. So I could easily put myself in a very bad position trying to get as drunk as everyone else. So I have to be very careful with liquor.
Well,
Drink responsibly. And any children watching, drink responsibly.
don't drink and drive, even if you're adult. But after the completion of this film, it says that Don Bluth stated if he had a choice to do either a live action or an animated for a movie, he would choose animation because it considers it easier to do than live action. So I thought that
in some aspects, yeah, I can see that happening.
And then he says Glen Campbell was chosen to voice and sing as Chanticleer after Don Bluth heard his yodeling in the "I Remember You" song. I haven't heard that song before, so but that's
I Remember You by Glen Campbell is fan-fucking-tastic. He's also part of the soundtrack for Dark Phoenix. There's a song called "By the Time I Get to Phoenix." Recommend it. Glen Campbell is one of the greats.
Fortunately, we can't sample it on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube for some odd reason.
I've never heard that song. I'm gonna have to download it. I'm gonna write that down real quick so I can have that because I don't remember ever hearing that song. I've never even knew that Glen Campbell could yodel.
Oh my God, Janet, this is something like I knew Glen Campbell could sing like Elvis because my grandfather used to talk about it because he was more of an Elvis fan than the rest of my family. But whenever all this happened, whenever this movie was made, like he got back into it from 77 till 91. Glen Campbell did not do any Elvis-like singing. And then finally he uncorked himself. He'd been a great singer. He was amazing. And
I just remember the one song. That's it. That's the only one that I remember. But now when I'm going to download this and listen to it, or I'm going to ask my you-know-who to play it for me after we're done, just so I can hear it. But I might have heard it already because my mom loved Glen Campbell. So
By the Time I Get to Phoenix is a must listen to, and that's actually in the crappy movie Dark Phoenix, the X-Men film that nobody should watch. Nobody, absolutely. The only thing you should never watch, other than that, is X-Men Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
I made the mistake of watching that.
I'm sorry.
I've liked all the X-Men movies so far. The only one I haven't seen is the Captain Marvel or whatever name is. I haven't seen that one.
This right here is not caused by old age, being middle aged. This was from X-Men Apocalypse. It physically aged me.
You out so bad. But here's one thing. It says that the guy Patu, his narration was one of the last things added to the film when test audience reported finding several scenes confusing. So they added it. They added the narration to help people understand what was going on in the movie. That's interesting.
I might have to revise my time travel plans from earlier.
Why?
So
what would you do?
I will time travel.
What would you change?
Pick up Glen Campbell and then introduce him to Takeo Ishii, who did the parody song "Chicken Attack," the Japanese yodeler.
Oh,
When did that other song?
Epic.
It was like people were going around going "fuck, fuck, fuck" or something. I don't know, and snapping and stuff. What was the name of that?
the chicken dance song.
The the chicken dance song. Yeah, when did that come out?
Polka is what it's also known
Oh
as.
man,
Everybody was doing it at weddings and barbecues. I mean, everywhere I went, I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
it's a slippery slope because then you go slip into the Macarena.
Well, I like the Macarena. It was different, you know. That was not the same
Well,
thing.
that was different compared to like the electric slide. I will give that. But wow, we are falling really down on my my channel. I'm sorry. So anyway, Christopher Plummer played the Duke in this movie, and nobody has fucking said like Christopher Plummer, whatever his name is. Like, this guy was the shit as far as actors are concerned. He played the
Chris
best.
Plummer is awesome.
I've never seen a Klingon played with such amazing
General Tang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
One
he was
thing I
the
was
Duke in this movie.
Mhm.
If you let me just, I'm gonna share this shit because this is funny. Nope. This is his IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, y'all think you're busy, right? You got 40 hours, 50 hours a week. Some of you like me, you got 62 hours a week.
He was the owl, right?
Okay, this guy,
Yeah.
he lived for that fucking long, and his stuff was still coming out last year. First off, he was Rizzo. Secondly, he was working up until his death, did 9 episodes of Departure.
Mm-hmm.
And look at all the fucking house notes this guy could pay. Look at all this. Chris
It's a lot
Plummer,
of acting.
he was the girl with dragon tattoo as Henrik Wenger. He was
Yeah.
in Skyrim. I hate you, Skyrim. I hate you with a passion. He was John Barrymore in Barrymore. That is one of the greatest movies about early Hollywood. If you understand the worship of Moloch and you understand the Barrymore family, you understand Hollywood. That's it. That's all there is to it. He was in 9.
Yeah, Christopher Plummer was one of the greats. It reminds me of an interview that I saw of John Rice Davies, and how he was doing some sort of a seminar at a university or auditorium, and it was about acting, and he had mentioned Laurence Olivier, and all the 20-somethings in college are like, isn't he a writer or something? It's like, no, he's Laurence fucking Olivier, one of the hardest working men in stage and screen. Mm-hmm. One of the classics, and a part of him died that day.
Well, one of the things that stuck out to me when it was said in this movie, because I'd never seen it, I was like, what? It made me double take, and I'll see if you guys feel the same way. One of Edmond's lines has been commonly misrepresented by modern audiences, and he said, "Jeepers, I'm a furry." Remember that?
Yeah, but he didn't say I'm a furry. He says I'm all furry.
I know, but it sounded like it to me that he said,
"Yeah, I'm a furry." Yes. You're edgy.
So I went, what? You know, because I was like,
sadly, it didn't predate furries.
Yeah, because he actually says, "I'm all furry," but Toby Ganger's speech implement has led some people to believe it was referring to the still developing furry community, which, you know, I talk about a few times because, you know, they have butt plugs and everything with the tails and all, you know, it's just disgusting. So when I heard that word in the way it was said,
I blame Sid and Marty, HR Puff and stuff, all those costume characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what led to the furry stuff.
That and the acceptance.
Y'all getting your freak on in weird, freaky ways.
Listen, little boys really don't need to play with My Little Pony. We have enough things for them to play with at Ace Hardware, and they should go to Ace Hardware to get their toys. But they don't have toys at Ace Hardware. Exactly. Go learn a fucking drill.
But this was another thing I found that I thought was interesting. It said Don Bluth, who had grown up on a farm, especially uncomfortable directing the scene in which Edmond's family saves a cow from sinking in the mud. The animal was heavily sedated to make her behave during the shoot, and Bluth needed constant reassurance that she was safe. When he went up to inspect the cow, who was named Abigail, Bluth's experience with cows allowed him to notice something the rest of the crew had not. The cow was pregnant. Bluth turned to the head grip and asked, "What's her name? What's your name?" And he said, "Clifford." Okay, the grip answered and said, "The wee one inside Abigail will be named Clifford." Bluth told him, "Make sure he stays alive." Both Abigail and her calf survived.
Epic.
I thought that was pretty interesting because, not a lot of people get to that are in Hollywood grew up on a farm. There's a few here and there that grew up on a ranch or whatever type in the country, but to actually have hands-on experience with a cow. But the fact that he swears, I don't know if it's true or not, whether it was a boy or not, that she was pregnant. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting because how many directors actually give a shit, about any animals that are on their set? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Because you usually have multiple. You have multiple.
Talking about animals, like the director doesn't give a shit about the actors. What are you talking about, Janet?
Yeah, I don't mean the animals either. It's just a prop for the movie to be finished, basically. I thought that was pretty good.
Did we get the shot? Good.
At least the cow wasn't a bull. Dumb people can die trying to milk a bull.
That's true. What was his name? Darn, I can't remember his name right this second. I'll have to remember. But he milked a cow on a TV show. Or he was being interviewed while he was milking a cow. And I'm trying to remember what his name was. He's on X. He does a lot of stuff on X. And I cannot remember his name. I just went totally blank. So maybe I'm not supposed to say his name. That's why God said, no, don't say it. So I guess I won't. But yeah, I just thought some of this stuff was really interesting. Because remember, I said it was very dramatic to be a kid, be watching the farm flooding, and the animals were getting stuck in the mud and we were having to use a vehicle, basically to pull it out of the mud. That's how bad it was, the rain wise. So all of that dramatic stuff was pretty intense, I thought. And then he woke up the next morning and it stopped raining. And, they got the cow out. It was muddy looking, though. At least they did that. They had a muddy looking yard and everything, to fit what supposedly had happened all through the night. So I thought that was really good. But yeah, overall, I really liked this movie. I thought it was very good. I thought it was very good for kids. I'm not saying I would have a 6-year-old. I would say maybe 8 and older is what I would recommend for some of the scarier things that happened in the movie. But besides that, I think it's still a watchable movie. I don't think it was bad at all.
Well, I think this film is a success on a lot of levels. It definitely goes into the suspense or horror aspect of what you want to show your kids because it's still a fairly safe movie. It really is. But there's a lot of this film that is, when you look at it, the scenes, they are fucking scary as shit. Like, what's going on here? When the owl opens his mouth and the magic stuff comes out. Like, wait, what's going on here? And there's so many other things in this movie that are just wrong on so many levels where they have Goldie. Goldie, you're going to completely bamboozle the king and make him, Chanticleer, he's going to fall in love with you. Just get him wrapped around your finger. Just completely maneuver him to where he's unable to have a thought that's free of your boobs or what.
That's why they made her boobs smaller because it was
too
hot.
Boobs smaller. The fucking scandalous cunts out there that got butthurt about this shit. Fuck you.
Oh, that was funny.
I got upset about when I read that in the trivia. I said, wait, what? Ellen Green played a character that she had to have her character drawn smaller up top because there was some lady that was a Karen or she was a concerned citizen, however you want to view it, and she did not want to have her kids staring at animated boobs that were gregariously drawn. Oh, dear me. Like, you can't go outside and not see that. Or worse yet, your public fucking school where you send your shitty tax dollars and your child to, don't send your kid to a fucking Queen Trans Day fucking read along over at the library. Fuck off.
This was like almost 10 years after The Last Unicorn. And if I remember correctly, that tree had some very large tatas.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
tree had great tatas.
So, like, where did the shift in animated bosoms come from? Like
you were saying earlier, I think it was because of who was going to be putting the movie out. So, you know, different studios will allow certain things. Like this one part that I know, it says in here that because Goldcrest Films wanted to avoid a risk of a PG rating, they said that Blues animators were forced to redraw Chanticleer's glass of wine as a transparent cup of soda in the kiss and coo sequence. So when she was pouring the drinks in his mouth, to relax, they didn't want you to think he was drinking alcohol because they didn't want a PG rating. They wanted it to be rated G. So they were,
Yet they have the scary stuff in it, which isn't really scary, but like parents should be with their kids in case they freak out.
Yeah.
To reassure them.
It's just funny that different, you think about it, different studios look at different aspects of something and think, well, this is too much, but this isn't. You know what I mean? Like saying, well, we don't want him holding a cigarette or we don't want him holding a glass of wine, but we can have two moms that are kissing with their kid, or whatever, something like that. So to me, it's just funny how some things are okay and some things aren't, depending on it's just like whatever crowd you're in. If you're in this crowd, they accept this. But if you're in that crowd, they don't accept that. They only accept this other. See? So it's not. I
think that's why my parents never gave a crap. They're like, oh, you want to watch this? Okay, we're going to give you the one warning. This could be scary.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
how my parents were. They were the same
natural
way.
Selection.
If you think you can handle watching this, then we'll let you watch it. And then if I started crying or whatever, then they'd make me leave. So I would try not to wince or say anything because I didn't want to, miss out on whatever's going to happen in this movie. My friends were saying they'd watched it, that type of thing. So peer pressure does work when it comes to that kind of stuff. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting that they changed that around just for the alcohol so they could get a lower rating, a G rating.
I don't understand why the alcohol would be such a bad thing, but that's just me as an adult, almost 50 years old.
Yeah, but I don't either.
I think it was the DARE program. Don't drink and drive, don't do drugs.
Whatever.
Just say no.
It says in the Swedish dub, all of Chanticleer's songs were performed by the Boppers, and Chanticleer's voiced by Jerry Williams, the lead singer of the Violinettes. Never heard of them.
Never heard of them.
Goldie is voiced by singer Pertilla Wahlgren. I don't know who those people are. So they redid the singing and stuff like that for different singers. For the movie to be released, in Sweden. So, that takes money.
We might be missing some untapped potential right there.
Yeah, maybe. It says the film was originally intended to be released in the United States by MGM and was supposed to debut in the fall of 1990. Then was moved to spring of 1991 before MGM dropped the film altogether. The Samuel Goldwyn Company, the Golden Mayer Company, subsequently picked up the film and scheduled the film for spring of 1992 in the United States. But in 1997, MGM purchased Samuel Company and said that they acquired the North American rights to the film. So after it was released, that's when they purchased it. So they didn't really do that much with it when it first came out. So maybe they were worried about backing it or something. But once it started making money, just like you said, once it became available to buy at home, that's when the sales went up. So maybe that was after MGM bought it because they did better at marketing it. Do you think?
No idea, but that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think that's probably why the film started making more money, because I'm going through this stuff right now, trying to read it.
Well, I'm surprised that they didn't use like Liv Christine as the Norwegian singer, because she seems to be slammed into everything. Wait, did I say that loud? I'm sorry. If you know who Liv Christine is, go ahead and give it an F in the chat.
I don't know who it is.
Well, you don't listen to Norse Viking metal, so it's all right.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It says here, in addition to Glen Campbell's Elvis Presley imitation, his songs were backed up by Elvis's actual backup singers, the Jordanaires, which Bluth said helped the feel and the presence of Elvis in the room. Wow, that's interesting. I didn't realize that at all.
That's cool, because the soundtrack's pretty catchy. Like for a kid's movie.
Yeah, I would have listened to the soundtrack in my Thunderbird when I was driving around in the early 90s. I would have been happy to listen to this.
You get those single cassette tapes of the main theme, and then cram that in your tape deck, crank up your Bose or blah punk, and rock out to freaking Rock-a-Doodle. Yeah, I can see that.
So
I'd totally do that.
my overall view of this movie, I would say, was from the movies that I know that he's made, Don Bluth. I think this would be the lowest one on the list of movies that I've ever watched that he directed. But it was still a really good movie. I just wouldn't put it above The Secret of NIMH or any of that stuff. But it was, it had some I don't know. It seemed like in some scenes they didn't know what direction they were supposed to be going or something. You know what I mean? It was like open-ended. It had like a lot of parts where they didn't really fill in the gaps for you. So I don't know. It just seemed, like I said, when all of a sudden the guy, the bad guy, that the colonel, basically gets a phone call right out of the blue from the owl and takes his call, and just little things like that. But I don't think that would affect.
I presumed that was. I presumed that because they said right at the beginning the Duke hired basically I guess another chicken or someone to keep the king from singing or crowing.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that was that the Duke got the guy from the manager to hire that guy to do it, so he could actually use in hope. Basically, I think it's a Ponzi. I think it's in my mind. What worked out in my head was the owl and the fox, or whatever the fuck it was working together from the very beginning of the movie. Like the reason he went to the city was because those two made a deal.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, but I'm just saying it wouldn't affect a kid watching it because a kid doesn't think about any of that stuff. The only reason I'm thinking is because I'm a grown up. I think that's one reason why I noticed it. But I thought for a child movie, I thought it was pretty good. Now, I would say that there's a couple scenes that I thought were pretty creepy, and scary kind of thing. So I would definitely say the kid shouldn't be under 8 to watch it. If I was to recommend it to other parents, but that's just my point of view of it. What about you guys? So what do you rate it? How do you guys rate this movie? We'll start with Bruce.
I'm going to score this movie as a solid 70 because I thought it was enjoyable. I didn't think it really tried to overcomplicate things. Some of the things you can see a couple scenes ahead. The music is really good. The animation is the reason why I kept watching it. But the characters are fun. I didn't think it was like overtly amazing, but I thought for what it is, I was given a very nice gift of, hey, you should check out this movie. And that's exactly what we did. It's not a 7 out of 10 movie. It's not going to be something that like you guys are like, oh, he's dissing it. No, 7 out of 10 is a movie like Running Scared or Throw Mama from the Train, or any movie where you've comfortably enjoyed yourself putting it in the VCR or DVD player and putting it on and looking up occasionally and watching the hijinks, because you already know what's going on. You've memorized it. You know what's going on. It's in that same tier of films where you could, if you were a young kid when this came out in the 90s, you probably have worn out a VHS tape on this movie, because this movie is good enough to where your mom and dad should have bought a second copy of it and stored it for when the first one broke. It's got good music. It's got great animation. The characters are well-rounded. You have an amazing assortment of voice talent for this film. And
Definitely.
it's an unsung, an unpolished gem. And yeah, there's some problems with it, but I don't really see those problems today in 2024. When I compare it to stuff released in 2024, like Velma Season 2, I'm pretty certain that this movie stands head and shoulders proudly with its achievements and its warts compared to modern entertainment. Congratulations.
Yeah, myself, I was going to give it like a 7.5. But my point of view is that it for a child, to watch it, from a child 8 to maybe 13 or 14. I think they might enjoy this movie for the music, for the voices. The story was cute. It had a lot of little things in it that I think kids would really like, especially if you had siblings that got to sit and watch, an older brother with a younger sister, or older sister with a younger brother, that kind of thing. 2 siblings getting to watch it together, I think definitely would enjoy it. And it's very nostalgic. It brings back what we used to see growing up watching kid movies. It was oriented toward a kid. It didn't have a bunch of, propaganda and stuff in it, pointing you in a different direction or whatever, trying to get you to see something else for what it wasn't. It's just a cute little story that has areas that doesn't really make any sense, but you don't really have to have that. You know what I mean? When it comes to entertaining a child. Now, the one thing that I didn't give it a higher score for is because the scary parts in it, and the fact that it rained and it was so gloomy through most of the whole movie. And that's why I'm wearing this. I put this umbrella hat on for a little bit, because it was just, very dark, had that darkness to it. So that's why I would recommend, if you were going to be letting your young kid watch it, that I would recommend that you watch it first, to make sure that you felt that your child was at that level of acceptance and understanding that it's just a movie, and that hopefully wouldn't cause them to have nightmares and stuff. So I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10.
7.5, not bad.
No, I think so. It's pretty good. So what do you guys think?
Yeah.
Either one.
I'm in agreement with Janet. With Janet. 7.5 is a good score for this, because especially as a kid, I remember this, and it just, as an adult, like I said off camera, I wasn't going to give it high praises, because as an adult it doesn't interest me that much. But looking at it from the kid's point, remembering it from my kid point of view, this movie was absolutely amazing. I loved it. And 7.5, man, I think I'll go 8, because there's just so many of the things about this movie that feels awesome to me as a kid. Because the owl stuff can be scary. It also really just revs up your imagination, especially if you're a kid like me that spend most of your time outside. Seeing a magical owl just like makes you wonder what other magic might be out there.
Especially one that can affect the real world.
Yeah. See, I'm also one of those people who is a firm representation of curiosity killed the cat. If we were living in more dangerous times, I guarantee you my curiosity would get me killed.
Anybody in the chat has a review they want to give or score, go ahead. Lady says he gives it a 6.5 to a 7. Six Nations.
Yeah. All right. So I vaguely remember this from the 90s. Now, I don't remember if it was exactly in 91. It could have been 92, 93, something like that.
Mhm.
This came out when I was 14, so I would not be interested in that. I was like totally into, Big Trouble in Little China and dare I say Mannequin, stuff like
You said-
that. Because there's certain actresses I was focusing on more than kid stuff, and I was a big fan of horror films. So like any big bustier woman from the Hammer films
Yeah.
at that time was on my list. So like 33 years later, I'm watching it and I'm trying to remember back. Okay, so that was early 90s. My buddy was buying his first Laserdisc player, and I think we saw the cover of it, and I was like, "Oh, Rock-a-Doodle." Couldn't really tell that it was a Bluth film from it,
Mhm.
and I just kind of passed it on. Seeing it now, it brought back all the nostalgia feels of the early 80s. And if you're a fan of Bluth, it's definitely worth watching.
Mhm.
I give it a 70, maybe a 75 for the animation alone. The story was wholesome. Like, this is one of those movies you want to sit with your kids, or if you're like me and you have nieces and nephews, like, you can watch it and not go crazy like freaking Barney or something else.
Yep.
No, this had a pretty cool story, catchy themes. The music was good. Like, if you know the character voice actors, like, there's history behind that. That's incentive enough to go, oh, hey, let's check this out. The themes are a little bit dark, but I was raised in the era of that transition from old school Disney to let's throw everything at them. Oh, nope, we're traumatizing people. Let's ease it back to we got hall monitors and safe spaces. So yeah, you want to definitely curb your kids from just watching it by themselves. Smaller ones might get freaked out. But this is a good wholesome film. It was well done. Awesome animation. Totally worth watching it, especially with the family and the younger generation.
Mhm.
And I can see, as a kid growing up in the 90s during that time, this would be a really cool film to watch. So yeah, definitely worth it.
Yeah, everything you said, I 100% agree with. It's exactly. It was very nostalgic for me from the very first moment I heard the music and started to see the very beginning opening scene. It just took me way back and made me feel giddy. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. It was really fun. It was a fun movie to watch.
Yeah,
And I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I had a nostalgic feeling too. I'm sitting there watching it going, I remember that. Oh, I completely forgot about that scene. And then we get the chase scene in the theater, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that. I completely forgot about that until I recently was like, oh, yeah.
It was the voices, though, that too, also. Just hearing that's one thing I really like about a lot of these movies that have voiceovers or narration, is that just narration and things like that can pull you into something without even having to really visualize it. What they're saying pulls you into a feeling or a thought that you'd forgotten about, and little things like that. And then just hearing Dee Wallace's voice also was very it just pulled me in to that realm of movies, E.T. and things like that. So it was very nostalgic for me, not just because of the movie and the animation and stuff. It was also the voices that you get to hear while you're watching it. So I just enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really good. Oh, hi, Caroline. Thank you for
Caroline
joining.
for Congress.
Thank you for stopping in. But yeah, I thought it was very cute. I thought it was just a really good family movie, and we don't have that much option for that anymore. It just seems like everything now that's oriented towards children, it's got so much bullshit added to it to spoon feed you and your kid into believing all this crap. And it's nice to know that we can still go back in time a little bit, grab some movies and bring them home, and or even download them now since we have streaming.
Exactly, lady. Exactly.
It has Rondo in it. It means it's got electrolytes. And that's what plants crave.
Yeah, I remember that. What was the name of that movie?
That
Idiocracy.
Pauly Shore in it, right?
We are living in Idiocracy.
Idiocracy.
Pauly Shore in it? Is that the one?
No,
Or no? Oh, no.
No.
Why was I thinking it was him?
it's okay.
Who was in that movie?
So
When you said that line.
That movie, it doesn't matter who's really in it because it's a bunch of fucking liberals, but Mike Judge wrote it, and it was funny.
Mike Judge is freaking awesome.
I could have sworn it
And
was
he's got decades of content.
Oh, well, I don't know everything. I'm just a person. But what was fun was all this anticipation. I kept wanting to look it up to see, what I should put on, because I knew that from the little bit that I got to see or in the snapshots or whatever of it when you guys were talking about it, I was like, well, it's country. It's called Rockabilly. It's about a rooster that leaves a farm. So I guess I'll dress up as a farmer. So I was going to show you guys. Really did dress up. I am wearing overalls, shorts, and I have cowboy boots on.
All right, brought to you by Bluebill.
Because my dad. I'm wearing my daddy's shirt. This is my daddy's shirt, and it says.
We should watch the Dukes of Hazzard.
And these overalls are mine. I've worn them many times, but these boots I got from my dad. I talked about. I think I even posted pictures on my ex because I was so excited to find them. And when I took them to get their heel repaired and the little loops so you pull them up, and they're big, so I have to wear big thick socks with them. But they were my daddy's, and I got them repaired the best I could because they're like old Tony llamas. I think that's what they said. But I just wanted to show that I do dress up every single time I dress up. Now, Bruce gets to normally see my whole outfit, what I'm wearing, because you guys only get to see from here up. So I thought I'd show you. See, I did dress up country.
I wanted her to stand up and show everybody what she has on because it's amazing.
So,
Janet can help cure testicular cancer.
Oh, and the thing is, this hat I made years ago. It's made out of felt, and I was a scarecrow. So I thought, I got it. And then I also had wheat. I was going to be going like this. Howdy, y'all. I have some wheat because I have this wheat. I used to have it on my hat, like this, but it fell off. So because I was a scarecrow. I'm just, I sew. I can sew, make things. But this was a fun movie, and I'm thankful that the Crafting Gamer asked us to watch it because it's another movie that I had never seen, and I was really surprised that I had never even heard of it. But I don't feel so bad now because I saw in the chat that quite a few people never saw it either, so I don't feel so bad. But I'm glad I did watch it because it was a fun movie, very nostalgic.
Well, admittedly, it was when I first seen this movie, it wasn't because it's in my personal collection. It's actually my grandparents' collection, and my grandmother has an eclectic taste of movies. We're talking literally everything from Rock-a-Doodle to Japanese Godzilla.
Wow, that's good. I like Godzilla. I used to watch reruns of Godzilla with my dad and Star Trek.
Some of my favorite movies.
Yeah, for me, like Dee Wallace is in it. So I watch this, hear Dee Wallace, and be like, oh, I'm going to go watch The Howling.
Yeah.
It works.
It's a good movie.
So I was surprised that
Really good.
voice was dubbed over the other woman. I just thought that was interesting when they.
It was tastefully done too. It wasn't like Hercules in New York, where you got some hygiene film voiceover for Arnie because his accent's too thick.
The fact that you said Hercules in New York, and I'm just shaking my head in disgust, like, oh god.
Is that a movie?
Yes,
it's a movie. Yes,
it is a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, I never heard of it.
It's one of his first movies.
It's bad. It's a bad
He
film.
he plays Hercules. He gets sent to New York. There's a lot of running, a lot of muscle flexing.
See my earrings?
Yeah,
These are
yeah.
appropriate to wear for a children movie. Can you see what it is?
Oh dear God.
It's a gun with
Yeah,
a teardrop
see
coming
that.
out of it. So I just wanted you to see. Someone had asked me what my earrings were. So they're weapons. But I'm a country girl, so country girls
Well,
were.
we are in America, and we do have that Second Amendment.
But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with me today and letting me. Because now I got to get dressed and go to the gym since we're finished.
Oh, and Snortopoopas, earlier you were saying that you have fur, but you're not a furry. Polar bears are exempt. Nobody
yeah.
messes with the polar bears.
We're not going to tell
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, they're born that way.
In fact, what was it that GM James last night said? We were talking about bears. If it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lay down. If it's white, go to the light. So,
Yeah, you.
Black bears, you can probably fight them off. Brown bears, play dead. And
Bigger?
then polar bears, you are dead.
Are
They'll just eat you.
really that much bigger than grizzlies?
Yes.
Yes.
They are
Seen a real
carnivores to the extreme.
big. It was huge.
They are big, gnarly bears that are relentless.
I've never seen a polar bear in real life, so
Janet, let me put it to you this way: unless you have, unless you see the polar bear from a great distance, or you're on a ship, the polar
Yeah.
bear will be the last thing you see.
well, the thing is, I haven't even. I guess it's good that I have never seen one because I've been to many zoos and I've never seen a polar bear in a zoo. So
Well,
I
zoos
had
are
a
a bit of
black
an
bear
exception. in that
on my
aspect, but still.
porch last spring. I had a polar bear. I mean, a black bear on my porch, and it was pretty big, and it wasn't even a grown one. And it was trying to get I think it was trying to get to my baby chicks, is what I think, or my feed or something. But I was able to scare it away. But you know, and it was pretty scary. So I don't even know what I would do if I saw a real grizzly bear or a polar bear in real life. I've seen them on Discovery Channel, you know, like fighting a walrus, and they're batting it around like it's just a little mouse or something. So you know, they're pretty powerful. A human wouldn't last long, I can guarantee that. But Snortopoopas, he's the genius. He's the one. He's a polar bear. He would be able to tell us the truth.
So next week, for those of you that like watching me twitch or like watching me like stutter or have Tourette's or whatever, we're watching a movie called Thelma and Louise.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
It is a good movie, especially if you have a vagina.
Yep. Good for the ladies. So I need to get all my ladies.
And that poor car. I won't spoil it for those of you who haven't seen it.
Brad Pitt gets laid.
But the auto abuse in that movie is horrible.
It is.
Oh well. I still want
Nobody
to see
should do that to a classic.
it.
So.
Oh, and there's a young Brad Pitt. So like.
It's got young Brad Pitt in it. He gets lucky.
Yeah. So.
I can't remember
Ladies.
which one did he speak with? I don't remember.
Got Susan Sarandon and
Gina Davis.
It's got Gina Davis.
Gina Davis. Yeah.
It's not bad of a movie, can it? Oh God, Bruce.
It's not that bad. It's honest. I swear. Wouldn't lie.
It's not that bad. It really. You haven't seen it before?
Never.
It won't be like being hooked up to the Ludovico contraption while they
every single woman
water your eyes.
Discord and listen to Bruce screaming while he's having to watch Thelma Louise. No, it's not so bad.
No, not Beethoven. No, it's not like that.
Hey! I liked Beethoven when I was a young kid.
It's an action movie. It's pretty good.
It's not a Shane Black film. I'll just say that. That's all I'm going to say.
Who's Shane Black?
I like Shane Black movies. Shane Black is like the only thing we have, like in out of the rubble of Canon Film Entertainment Group. Like we have Shane Black, and he makes really bad movies. movies that I like, movies like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang or The Long Kiss Goodnight, Predator, excuse me, not well, he did The Predator, but he did Predator as well, which was better, which is a fucking modern day classic. He did Lethal Weapon. The guy's a fucking back in the 80s, he was snorting cocaine and making good movies, and now he just makes shit. But I'd rather watch it.
He did Lethal Weapon,
He
The
snorted all
Last
that.
Boy Scout, Last Action Hero.
Gosh, that's why. So,
Oh, and Monster Squad. Can't forget Monster Squad.
No, you can't forget that.
So, yeah.
I don't even know who's
It's not complete schlock.
Who's the director for Thelma and Louise?
Thelma and Louise director is Ridley Scott, which
Okay.
he's mostly okay until about 2012, and he made this crappy film called Prometheus, and we realized how bad his mental fucking derangement syndrome had gotten.
Yeah,
And
Prometheus wasn't very
It's
good.
hit or miss with Ridley Scott. Like, some of his stuff's really good. Blade Runner, Black Hawk Down. I even liked Gladiator.
Uh-huh.
But,
Yeah, I love Blade Runner. We did that one.
I don't know.
See, when I watched Blade Runner again, I watched it 2 separate times, and I watched it without the narration and watched it with the narration, and I prefer the theatrical cut to all the other cuts. Like, the more Ridley Scott fucked with it, the more I did not like it. It's still a great movie without narration, but I really like it just in its basic format where because it brought back some good memories from the 80s when you popped it in the VHS and you had all those fucking amazing sets in front of your eyes. You're like, holy shit, this is miniature work on a masterclass scale. But we're doing Thelma and Louise, which is like feminism on a masterclass scale. And I never want to hear about.
I never got that feeling. I never felt like there was buttloads of feminism in it. It was just 2 women that were made bad decisions in their lives and what they had to do to deal with it. You know what I mean?
It's Susan Sarandon.
It's the proto Harold and Kumar go to White Castle.
Because all the guys in the movie are not bad. See, if it was a feminist movie, every white man or whatever, every man would be a piece of shit. But it's not like that in this movie.
I'll grant you that.
Because what was that movie that we watched? And it was with Jason Statham, and he went back to that bitch girlfriend that he was trying to get her back or something. And I'm like, why? She's a piece of trash. Remember that one?
No,
I don't remember that. But the thing is, to her door, and she had another guy there. Okay.
Are you talking about The Expendables Part 1?
Maybe it was that one. It had Jason Statham in it. And that woman was a piece of shit. So I admit that there's lots of women out there that are just assholes, just like there's a lot of asshole guys. They're on both sides, and we have to defend each other. All of us normal people, us normal women and normal guys need to help each other. Make sure you stay away from them nuts on both sides because they're everywhere, Doesn't
As
matter
the Templar in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade once said, choose wisely.
Okay, this is a question I get. I have not slotted out. Flatey, I have not officially planned anything yet for the holidays. The closest I've got is the month of October. And the month of October.
Openings up till October too, right?
What?
We have openings up until October too.
Yeah, we have openings up until October. Let me show you the list here because I haven't finalized. I've got a list of like 70 movies on loose leaf paper, but I have 3 movies that are a definite. The films that are definite next week is Thelma and Louise. Then October 6th, October 13th, Ghostbusters Afterlife, and then The Witches of Eastwick.
Yeah, that's the one I picked, and it's a good one too. I'm excited about watching that one again. Sorry, guys. And it's not because of feminism at all, because I am not a feminist.
Jack Nicholson is the devil. Like, how could you go wrong?
And they're witches, so they're all bad. All 4 of them are not good people. But it's still good. It's very entertaining. I like the way it works.
So there's a hope that we could watch like Santa versus the Martians for Christmas, right?
Never heard of that one.
Santa versus the Martians.
Oh, it's bad.
That we could do that for the 22nd of December.
Never heard of it. I'm willing to watch it. You know, if I can watch that Meat Train one, I can watch anything, right, Bruce?
You complain about the Meat Train. I loved it.
No, I liked a lot of the scenes in it. I just didn't like the ending part. I thought that was just, it ruined the movie, you know, leading up to that.
It's not a happy ending. No,
it's not the other movie that I hope you never make me watch it, is the one, the Willy's Wonder World or Wonderland or whatever.
You want to watch?
Oh, my bad. I mispronounced that. That was Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. It's got Pia Zadora on it.
Santa Claus Conquers.
Yeah, it's a 64 film. I think Riff Tracks did it.
Flatey, you've seen Thelma and Louise? Because he said it drools. So has he seen it? Let's see what he says.
I think that's a nod to the coolness that is Monster Squad.
Yeah, I know. But so I was going to say, if you hadn't seen it, then you have to watch it with us in Discord. If you hadn't. But if you've already seen it and you don't want to, you don't have to. Yes, sir?
It's time for you to start being afraid.
Uh-oh.
I recognize the miniature Bruce is painting.
Uh-oh. You do? What is it?
Yeah.
A robot.
It's a mech, actually.
Yeah,
in the game it came from, it's for goblins.
At least half of it.
In the game it came, in the game it came from, it's for goblins, but Bruce immediately goes orc with it, so it's like, okay, well, it's his miniature anyway. But it's set up with guns and a nice melee weapon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna pincher somebody with that, and then drill a hole in them, or cut them in half or something. Yeah, he's come real close on both games, to taking some of us out. Gotten really close.
Well, there was that one when I'm sleeping and 4 goblins come up and smack me in the head. I was seriously expecting to make a new character right then and there.
Yeah,
luckily it was just a knockout blow.
I don't think any of us were even going to get out of that whole situation on that one at all, for real. So, which is good, you know, because he's trying to keep us on our toes, and I like that. I think it's good.
Yeah.
And I have died before, so I know I can die in this campaign. He's not going to not kill us. If we die, we die. That's just the way it is. That's reality of gaming, right? And when he has that evil laugh in the background, like he does on some of these things, he's enjoying himself. So that's good. I want him to have fun as much as we are.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But I want to say thank you to everybody for showing up and hanging out with us as we talked about this fun little movie. Cute little musical.
Watch it before you have your kids watch it. That's my advice. This is not
enjoy your kids watching this movie. That's what you need to do.
Your kids, you need to see it first, because it might actually be a film.
Well, the kids are young. Yeah, it's got some scary stuff.
It's got some potentially scary scenes. That's all I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I really appreciate everybody being here today. For those of you that were in the Discord watching it with us, that was fun. For those of you that don't know about this movie, I would recommend it if you've got kids.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely recommend it.
Yeah, me too.
Six Nations or crafting, do you guys have anything to add?
Not really, other than I'm glad this movie was enjoyed, and I hope other movies I suggest in the future are just as enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
I got one I'm tempted on having you guys watch because it's so bad, but on the same hand, I don't want to see it ever again. It's My Willy's Wonderland.
Is it Robot Jocks?
No, it's a movie called Voodoo.
Okay.
I don't think I've seen that one either. You guys have, it's amazing to me how you guys find all these really disgusting movies.
It's about alcohol, Janet. That's all.
Apparently, I don't know what it is, but when you took me to that one website, I was like, holy shit, there's that many bad movies out there that I haven't seen. I was shocked. They're all like really way out there movies on that website. Yeah. And they weren't porn, so I don't want anybody thinking it was porn. These were horror movies and just B-rate or worse D-rate movies.
Yeah.
That were really bad made movies. They probably didn't even have 1,000 people watch them yet. So I don't know, but they were bad. They look bad, the names and everything. So, but one day I'm sure I'll be watching a few of them.
We'll see what we can do.
I have returned. I don't know if you got the message or not.
Is there anything that you want to say about before we close out Six Nations?
I had really fun watching the movie and like reminiscing with you guys and bullshitting, and it was fun hanging out with everybody online, chat, discussing this movie, and seeing something that I haven't seen that was well worth watching. Like, this is what it's all about. Going out, watching movies, not just stuff that you like, but check out stuff that you don't really pay attention to or wouldn't really be in your wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be surprised.
Step outside of your boundaries, which you're going to be doing next week, right, Bruce?
And this is how it was like throughout the 90s and early 2000s with my friends that were working in movie theaters and video stores and stuff. They would just randomly pick shit and we would all hang out and have a good time. And some of those movies were real stinkers, but more often than not, it was worth the time. And definitely, if you can riff on something with your friends, maybe get a little alcohol involved, it passes the time. It's a great way to strengthen your friendships and whatnot.
One of the first movies I ever got Bruce to watch way early when we were first starting out was that he hadn't seen was an indie movie, because I like a lot of indies, and it was called Lars and the Real Girl. And I don't think he enjoyed watching it as much, but I think after he watched it and he heard me talking about it and trying to explain my point of view of it, that he understood it a little bit better. And he was more accepting of the movie that we watched. So, you just don't know until you watch it and then you get to think about what it was or what it said. You really might not understand the vision of the director or the writer writing it. So to me, that has a lot to do. And this whole movie, just like Bruce said, was like a memorial, basically an homage to Elvis, saying we loved his music. We just loved him. He was a great person. And we want young people to hear some of his music, basically, is what it was. People that probably never even heard of Elvis. So I thought it was good when we came to that stuff.
I don't agree.
Yeah, we could go into Elvis movies. But the only Elvis movie I would say that was worth its weight in gold was King Creole. That was a solid film.
Well, my mom had every single movie. I don't care if they were bad or not. She loved Elvis, and she had everything Elvis. It's Elvis everywhere. She loved him. And I even took her to Graceland like 4 times. Got her VIP thing with the headphones and everything. So we just wander around in there, and she just loved it. We always went on his birthday, and she loved that.
That's awesome.
So, I'm glad I was able to do that. Not everybody can do that kind of stuff, but I always plan ahead, to say, well, if I want to take my mom, just, to Hawaii or wherever. Got to take her to Hawaii one time, two of us sisters, and that was fun. So those are memories, people. Can't get those back. So save up those pennies and spend them on something where it's a memory that you'll never forget. That's what it's worth it for.
Very true. Thank you one and all for coming in here today and enjoying some time with us. My name is Bruce. Janet is with me here from another planet. Our special guest were 6 Nations, 31 Kings, and the man himself who nominated this movie for discussion is the Crafting Gamer. Be sure to like and subscribe, and subscribe to those people in the panel. Thank you so much, one and all, for being here today.
Bye, everybody.